Hello there, Oleksandr. Thanks for getting these in, your first essays. My name's Andrew, and I work here at IELTSpodcast.com with Ben and the others. So with these corrections, what we do is read through your essays sentence by sentence and offer you a better way to say it, essentially. At the same time, we look at your coherence and cohesion, your structure, the range of your vocabulary and how well you vary it, which gives a sense of style and flexibility. More generally, how you respond to the question itself, and then in the grammar category, it's all about the small corrections. That's the main reason that we ask you to correct your own work so that you can learn to spot your own grammatical mistakes. Over the course of the next 8 corrections, you should find that you arrive at better ways and more academic ways of saying things without resorting to the same simple words and phrases over and over. So well done for sticking into the course this far. I can see that you have paid attention to the acronym and the structure that we suggest. Let's have a read through your first essay and see if we can make any improvements. It's always good in academic writing to be incredibly specific and precise. The latter days means, quite literally, the second set of days, the later days, the more modern era. But we're really referring to technology, advanced technology. So it would be better to say in the modern era, or even just these days. You want to refer more specifically to the fact that it's today, or the last 10 or 15 years. I would say, it has become very common for family members to communicate less frequently. I personally believe that this is a real issue, or this is a significant issue, and every families, so there should be possessive plural here, just possessive singular, family, apostrophe s, every year, families' customs, or familial customs, if we're trying to describe the customs. Familial would be family, but instead of the y, it would have another I and an AL on the end. Familial customs and connections have become much weaker than before. We don't like to use negative sentences in academic essays because it adds extra words. And in academic writing, we're always trying to express our ideas in as few words as possible. It is the crux of precision. To be precise is to express the same information but with fewer words. So try to stay away from negative sentences, and usually you'll find that you can cut out some of the smaller words. I would say this essay will discuss this trend using examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. Cool. Firstly, or primarily, with the development of transportation technologies, the world has become smaller. Now we can't say this because it is not literally true. The world has not become smaller, the world remains the same size. What has changed is that people can move around it in less time. So we could say with the development of transportation technologies, travel has become more efficient. This means, this means that people can more easily move around the world, which naturally leads to people seeking a better life. This is because, I would say something like, this could be because of struggling labour markets in home countries. Or we could talk about the employment prospects of the person. So we could say that this could be because of employment prospects in a native country, tough living conditions, economic problems. So as well, here I would offer some explanation. So I would say about the employment rate, tough living conditions, and economic problems are all great incentives for migration. This here says that there are other things to talk about, but I can't be bothered. So whenever we use etc. or and so on, we say, there is more to say, but I'm not going to say it. And that is a big no-no in academic essays. We should always state everything we intend to state. Recent studies have shown, past perfect, that more than 50% of people from poorer countries, this implies that we're judging the country as being fundamentally poor. But if we're saying that they are less financially well off than the other countries, then they are poorer. It's a comparative statement. So poorer countries are looking for a better life or additional opportunities, and are, I would say, willing to migrate. Thus, it is more than clear, well, let's just leave it at it is clear, that people moving to other countries may lose connections with their family or friends due to the extreme difficulty in maintaining relationships at distance. Due to the extreme difficulty in maintaining relationships at distance, or at a distance. Pronouns, prepositions, and articles, very important. Secondly, with the development of virtual technologies and the internet, people spend time cannot be measured in tons. We must be literal in academic essays. So people spend a large proportion of their time online. This is largely because the virtual world often feels more rewarding than the real world. For example, people who experience problems in reality or with reality, let's not say go online. Go is too informal for this essay. So we could say people who experience problems in the real world live alternative lives online due to the acceptance they receive. Or they immediately receive. I would use here instead of although, comma. Actually, having read this fully, I would remove this statement. Because whether they are trying to resolve their anxieties or not is really nothing to do with this essay. What I would do instead now is go straight to your example and then include another thus or therefore statement here. So from here, about them experiencing acceptance or receiving acceptance, we can then show recent studies have shown that when compared with the previous year, 20% more people use virtual worlds as forms of escapism to feel safe and happy. Escapism is the idea of detaching from reality and investing in one of your own creation as a coping mechanism. To be able to cope with reality, you detach from it and form your own. So that's what we'll say there. Taking everything into consideration, in here I would just use to conclude or in summary. I firmly agree that a tremendous number of people have begun to interact less with their friends and relatives. Cool. So that's your first one done. You have stated everything that is required in the question. You've discussed two ideas and you've summarized. It's good. What I would do is use the suggestions I've made to improve the usage of academic vocabulary, as well as not including unnecessary information and ensuring that every paragraph is fully expanded at the end with the explanation statement. That thus or therefore is like the key part of the paragraph. It's where all of it comes together and the idea is presented. Now for your second task, the idea that enjoyable activities, fun things, can do children better than reading alone. So let's see how you did. It is commonly known that an enjoyable activity, this is the focal point of the essay, about whether it is better or not So that suggests that it is actually much debated, and there is no concrete answer yet. So saying it is commonly known that an enjoyable activity contributes more is skipping ahead of ourselves. We are looking at the conclusion instead of opening the discussion. So here, we could say it is much discussed whether enjoyable activities contribute more to children's imaginative skills than reading alone. I strongly support the opinion that pleasing activities are a much better influence on the development of creative skills, for instance. And then your nice general sentence there, that's fine. So here you don't need this comma. You can say, although reading has many benefits, lots is not academic, it is too informal. So although reading has many benefits, playing computer games provides some advantages that cannot be obtained by reading alone or by reading books. This is because when playing computer games, children can develop spatial awareness, not special awareness, spatial awareness, increase their reaction times, improve logical and strategical thinking, or strategic thinking. Again, we can't measure skills in tons, and a myriad of other skills lots of skills are impossible to develop through reading. According to recent research, no need for this, children playing 2 to 4 hours a week on consoles such as the PlayStation outperform their peers by 20% in psychometric tests. Thus, the advantages of playing computer games are more than clear and give an opportunity, I'd say, and present opportunities to children, or present opportunities to progress to children. That's not a word. I don't know whether I've just hit a point of confusion, that's all. This sentence needs to be clarified to bring across the proper meaning. Do you mean academic biases? Or the bias of academics? I'm not sure which one that is. Academicals is not a word either, so I'm not quite sure what this means. But if you clarify this, I'm sure I'll pick it up. Let's say the bias of academics, or the bias of academic study, prevents children from developing other crucial skill sets. This is because physical activities, especially sport, introduce, no plural, new dynamics such as competitive spirit, physical abilities, cooperation, or here you should have and cooperation, because it's the end of a list, the final item in a list, and. Delete this, because this is fine to start with. You don't need to start with so. We don't start sentences with conjunctions either. So recent studies have shown that students who participate in sports are 50% more successful in their career than their counterparts who do not. Therefore, physical activities should feature as a main priority in our lives, as it assists us in building prosperous and happy futures filled with opportunities. To conclude from the examples and arguments given above, I strongly believe that enjoyable activities provide children with advantages that outweigh. Simple reading does not describe it properly. Simply reading means reading on its own, simply reading. But simple reading is not a real phrase. So we could say that outweigh reading alone, or outweigh the skills gained by reading. In addition, I think that pleasant activities have the propensity to play a decisive role in children's development. Kid as well is very informal, and we would not use it in an academic essay. So that one was quite quick, The reason for that is what we want you to do now is correct your own essays using the suggestions that you've heard. So go through your work, apply the corrections, send us a list of your errors that you made, as well as your corrected essays, and the new tasks that are contained in this email, and we'll have them back to you within 24 hours. Well done for getting these in, Oleksandr. I've really enjoyed marking your work, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.